Hey, I'm your ordinary Alfred.
Hey there, Alfred here. We have one of my favorite builds, Negan and Lucille. For those who don't know, Negan is one of the most iconic characters in The Walking Dead. He has this baseball bat with barbed wire coiled around it that he calls Lucille. He and Lucille had this really brutal introduction, which I won't spoil for you if you haven't read the comics or watched the TV series yet. The weapon that we're using in this build is called the Nail-Laden Club, and it really reminds me of Negan's Lucille, hence the name for this build. I tried to get Negan's general aesthetic down with the armor pieces I found in the game, and the only one that comes close or at least gives off a similar vibe is the Liar's armor set. We have the Liar's gauntlets, we have the Liar's trousers, and the body armor, Prince of Lies. Being a liar is not quite Negan is about, but in terms of the look and feel of this armor set, it's the closest one. The Liar's armor set is currently only obtainable through the rewards in the weekly bounties and challenges. The rewards are very generous, so it won't really take long to obtain the entire armor set, especially if you're running through the bounties and challenges in multiple rounds. Since the Liar's armor set doesn't have headgear, we put in the Wildling helmet. On the offhand, we put in the studded buckler. There's another club in the game called the Blacksmith's Folly, which has a very similar aesthetic to the Nail-Laden Club. I chose the Nail-Laden Club on this build because the name is closer in terms of describing Lucille, a baseball club wrapped in barbed wire. However, if you have the Blacksmith's Folly, it pretty much has the same moveset as the Nail-Laden Club, so you can use that as well. Also, in keeping with the theme, this is a fire build. Negan has an affinity for fire, as he likes to burn people's faces off with a flat iron. Well, enough about that, and let's get into the build. We're using the Nail-Laden Club. It's a one-handed club that scales with dexterity and faith. It comes equipped with the rune Crushing Flurry. I added in several fire-based runes, the Fire Whirl, the Fire Throw, and the Blazing Rupture. In terms of movesets, here's the basic attack combo. Here's the combo after dodging. It also has chainable charge attacks. In the gem slot, we put in the Black Pearl gem for increased healing. On the enchantments, we have attack speed increased based on durability. However, if you can roll increased damage on charge attacks, that would be better. We have gain health on charge attack, which is really useful in keeping us alive as it heals us on every successful charge attack. Pretty much we'll be abusing charge attacks in terms of playstyle for this build. Increased stamina recovery based on durability is important as well. Movement speed after rune attacks is great, but it can be replaced by other enchantments, such as fire damage infusion or gain health or focus on backstab. If you didn't roll the fire damage infusion like me, then you have to have the heat enchantment rune equipped, or you should be carrying the consumable item Flame Scale Oil. Both have the same purpose, which is to imbue fire damage on your weapon, and both are very quick to use. Drain health in combat on the negative enchant. This is, I believe, the best downside for this build. We don't want focus-based downsides, as it would compromise our ability to cast rune attacks. I also wouldn't recommend stamina-based downsides as they are too punitive. It would compromise our ability to perform basic combat actions, such as attacking, dodging, and parrying. Armor reduction is okay, but it makes us more vulnerable to physical attacks. Definitely don't go for damage taken increased, as those in my opinion are the worst negative enchants in the game. Unless you are a no-hit master, then the enemy virtually cannot touch you. Moving on to the studded buckler. This is a light shield that scales with dexterity. You can buy this from Fillmore the blacksmith, and then you can enchant it with Eleanor. We put in another Black Pearl gem for healing. On the enchantments, we have deal damage on parry. You can replace this with several options. Damage increase after parry is a good one. If you're not good with parrying, the alternatives are deal damage on block or damage increased after block. Gain health in parry is really great, but if you prefer not to parry, healing increased based on durability is a good replacement. Next one is stamina recovery increased based on durability. The next one is indestructible, which nullifies the downside unrepairable. If the enchantments you rolled on the first two deals more with blocking than parrying, definitely replace indestructible with either damage taken decreased while blocking or poise defense increased while blocking. On the downside, drain health in combat is the best alternative. Moving on to the helmet, we're enhancing our fire damage with burn buildup increased and fire damage increased. Healing increased, stamina recovery increased, and damage taken decreased are all very important. Drain health in combat on the downside. On the body armor, we have increased healing through the Black Pearl Gem. We enhance our fire damage further with burn damage increased. Next ones are focus gain increased, stamina recovery increased, and damage taken decreased, all based on durability. Drain health on the downside once more. On the pants, we infused it with the Black Pearl Gem for increased healing. Except for damage taken decreased based on durability, all the other enchantments here are replaceable. Gain health and damage dodge is useful as it gives us another method to regain some health while in combat, but it can be replaced by increased healing based on durability. Dodge stamina cost decreased at low health is certainly nice, but it can be replaced by stamina cost decreased at low focus or low health. With damage increased after sprinting, there are other more useful enchantments, such as focus gain increased based on durability, movement speed increased after charge attacks, or damage increased after dodge. All those are better than damage increased after sprinting. On the downside, drain health in combat. On the gloves, we enhance burn buildup through the infused gem, and the enchantment burn buildup increased. We have increased focus gain based on durability. Healing increased based on durability as well, but if you like parrying, then definitely gain health on parry is a solid replacement for this enchantment. We have damage taken decreased based on durability and drain health in combat on the downside. On the rings and attributes, we have two setups. The first and my recommended setup is the combination of the Band of Calmness and the Scarlet Ring. The Scarlet Ring swaps max health and max focus, and in combination with the Band of Calmness, it gives us a ton of hit points for increased survivability. For the third ring, I really like the Willow Cap ring for this build, as it lowers the charging time for the charge attacks. However, depending on your preference, you can put in any other ring in the third slot. For the attributes with this first setup, we put in 16 on health. This gives us 154 focus points. This is the effect of the Scarlet Ring swapping max health with max focus. 18 on stamina for 79 stamina points. 26 on dexterity and faith to meet the minimum weapon requirements. 36 on focus for 600 hit points and 204% focus gain. This is the combined effect of the Scarlet Ring and the Band of Calmness. The Band of Calmness increases our focus points and focus gain, and then the Scarlet Ring swaps focus points and hit points while still retaining focus gain. This combination gives us amazing toughness with tank-like hit points and great offensive firepower with mage-like focus gain. 25 on equip load to be on the normal weight class. If you don't have the Scarlet Ring, then we have this second setup. It's the combination of the Willow Cap Ring, the Band of Calmness, and the Ring of Broken Promises. The Band of Calmness is really the most important here. We need it for the increased focus gain. The other two rings can be replaced with other rings of your choosing. As for the attributes, 45 on health for 400 hit points, 15 on stamina for 70 stamina points, 26 on dexterity and faith to meet the minimum weapon requirements, and 25 on equip load to be at the normal weight category. With the Band of Calmness, we have 150 focus points and a 155% focus gain. Although significantly lower than the first setup, this setup still works, albeit with a little more effort in terms of playstyle compared to the first one. In terms of playstyle, we abuse the charge attacks to gain health and focus. Once we have enough focus points, we unleash rune attacks. Of course, you'd still have to dance around, dodge and parry and all that, but essentially in terms of the playstyle loop, we abuse the charge attacks to gain enough focus, and then unleash rune attacks. That's it for the build. If you guys made it this far, please consider subscribing. It would really help me out a lot. Well, to show you what the build can do, next up are the boss fights. I hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah! have risen!